Have you ever wondered why some people seem to manifest their dreams effortlessly while others struggle despite their best efforts? What if the key to unlocking your success was not in the external world, but within you in the way you direct your thoughts, feelings, and focus? Let me share with you a moment in my life that completely transformed my understanding of how the law of assumption works and how focusing on yourself, on your inner world, is the true secret to winning. When I first began experimenting with the power of thought and imagination, I did so out of sheer curiosity. I had no teacher to guide me, no book to show me the way. I was simply drawn to a deep inner knowing that there was something more, something greater than the material world we all see around us. I believed, as many of you might, that the key to success lay outside of me in circumstances, in people, in opportunities. But there came a moment when everything changed. It was a particularly difficult period in my life, filled with uncertainty and struggles. I had lost everything. The things I thought would bring me happiness, money, status, possessions had slipped through my fingers. And in that moment of despair, I was forced to face the truth. The power was never outside of me. It had always been within. I remember sitting quietly one evening, pondering deeply. I asked myself, what is it that separates those who succeed from those who fail? And in that stillness, the answer came to me: it is not the circumstances that shape you, but your ability to focus on your inner world, your ability to persist in the assumption of what you desire, regardless of the external conditions. The most crucial step toward winning, and I use the word winning deliberately here, is not to chase success or outward circumstances. No, it is to focus on you, to direct your imagination with unwavering conviction. Now, I'd like to share with you the truth that was revealed to me that night. It's not a complicated secret. It's the simple but powerful principle that when you focus on the feeling of the wish fulfilled, you are already in the state of victory. As I continued to practice this principle, my circumstances slowly began to change. In time, doors opened where there had once been walls. The world around me responded to the assumption I had made, not because of anything special about me, but because I had finally turned my attention inward. The moment I realized this truth, that all external conditions are reflections of my inner state, everything shifted. I became a master of my own destiny, not by changing what was outside, but by changing what was within. Your power lies in the direction of your thoughts and imagination. Focusing on yourself, on your feelings, and assuming the end result you desire is the key to transformation. External conditions are only reflections of your inner state. To change your outer reality, change your inner focus. Focus on what you desire, not on what you lack. Assume the feeling of your desire as though it has already been fulfilled. Live in that state of assumption and watch the world around you conform to your vision. The power to manifest lies in your ability to imagine vividly and clearly. When you imagine, do so with the feeling that it is already real. This is the key to manifestation. To win, you must persist. The universe responds to your consistent state of assumption. Do not waver, even if the world around you seems to contradict your inner state. Success comes from knowing that you are the creator of your own reality. When you fully believe in your power, success follows. By assuming the wish fulfilled, you bring it into being. Your thoughts and feelings are the creative force that shape your life. When you quiet your mind and focus only on your desired outcome, you align yourself with the forces of creation. Peace within leads to victory in the external world. I stood there that night, in the silence of my own mind, realizing the immense power I had been ignoring all along. I understood then that I was not bound by the limitations of the physical world. I had the power to shape it. And it was in that moment of focused self-awareness that I won, long before the external signs of success had manifested. And so, my friends, the truth I share with you today is this: focus on you until you win. Focus on your inner world, your imagination and your feelings, and the outer world will follow suit. This is not just a philosophy, it is a law. The law of assumption. When you begin to understand the true power of your mind, you will realize that everything in your life begins with you. The foundation of success, the key to transformation, And the very essence of creation starts with your ability to focus on yourself. Your power does not come from the world around you, nor from the circumstances you find yourself in. It comes from within you, from the thoughts you hold, the feelings you nurture, and the way you choose to direct your attention. It is in your ability to focus on what you want and what you can become, not on what you currently have or don't have. It's easy to look outward, to see the things around us that appear to be the sources of our success or failure. We are conditioned to believe that if we change our external conditions, our job, our relationships, our possessions, then we will change our inner state and find fulfillment. But this is the exact opposite of the truth. The key is not in changing the world, but in changing the way you see it, in how you direct your attention and energy. When you focus on yourself, it means focusing on your inner world, your thoughts, your feelings, and your assumptions. You are, whether you realize it or not, creating your reality through the thoughts you entertain and the feelings you cultivate. The world does not shape you, your mind shapes the world. When you focus on yourself in the way that I am describing, you begin to align yourself with the natural flow of creation. Think of it this way: when you walk into a room, you are not simply observing the space you are in. You are bringing your energy, your presence into that room, and that energy begins to affect the room. It's not magic, it's the natural law of how we interact with our environment. The same principle applies to your life. When you focus on yourself, when you consciously direct your attention inward, you begin to affect your reality in the same way. Your inner focus becomes the driving force that shapes your external world. This idea might sound difficult to grasp at first because we are so accustomed to thinking that the world must change in order for us to change. But consider for a moment, have you ever noticed that some people can face the most challenging situations and yet remain unfazed, while others who seem to have it all are constantly in turmoil? The difference lies in where they focus their energy. The person who remains calm and focused has learned the secret of self-awareness. They know that their response to the world, their thoughts, their feelings, and their assumptions create their reality. It is not the situation that shapes them, but their ability to control their reaction to the situation. Now, to focus on yourself does not mean to be self-centered or selfish in the conventional sense. It is a focus on your own mental and emotional state. It is about directing your thoughts and feelings toward the state you desire to experience. It is about assuming the feeling of the wish fulfilled, living in that state as if it is already a reality. This is where the power lies, in the feeling, not just the thought. The moment you begin to live in the feeling of your desire fulfilled, you activate the natural creative forces within you. You stop waiting for the world to give you what you want, and instead you recognize that you are the one who creates the circumstances that lead to your success. Success in this sense is not a destination, but a journey of self-discovery, self-awareness, and the realization that everything you need is already within you. The way you focus on yourself will determine your future. When you focus on lack, on what you don't have, or what is missing, you are sending out a vibration of scarcity and limitation. The universe, or whatever force you choose to believe in, responds to that vibration by bringing more of the same into your experience. But when you focus on abundance, on the feeling of success, on the knowing that all you desire is already yours, you begin to attract those things into your life. The secret is to focus on yourself, on your inner world, and align that inner state with the success, the peace, the joy you seek. This process of focusing on yourself is not a one-time act. It is a constant, ongoing practice. Every thought you think and every feeling you feel is a reflection of your inner state, and it is in your power to change that state at any moment. When you consciously focus on yourself, you begin to direct your life in the direction you want it to go. It is a continual exercise of aligning your thoughts with your desires, your feelings with your goals. It is in the persistence of this focus that you begin to see the changes manifest in your life. Remember, your thoughts are not passive. They are active forces that shape the world around you. When you focus on yourself in a way that reflects your desires and intentions, you are activating a power that will bring about the changes you seek. The world does not shape you. You shape the world through the focused power of your mind. In practice, this means that when you face challenges, you do not need to look to others for solutions or validation. Instead, you turn inward, focus on your own thoughts and feelings, and assume the feeling of the desired outcome. When you focus on your own inner strength, your own creative power, you begin to see the world change. The key is to focus on the feeling of success and victory, to live in that state before it has even manifested in the outer world. Ultimately, focusing on yourself is the act of taking full responsibility for your life. It is recognizing that you are the creator of your own experience, and that the only thing standing between you and your dreams is the way you choose to direct your thoughts and feelings. The world is yours to shape, and it all begins with focusing on yourself. When we speak of manifestation and the creative power of our thoughts, we must first address a fundamental truth. Everything you experience in the external world is a reflection of your inner world. What you see, hear, and feel on the outside is a direct mirror of the assumptions, beliefs, and feelings you hold inside. The world does not shape you. You shape the world. This is the law of creation, the law of assumption. And it begins with an understanding that your inner state precedes your external reality. To change what is around you, you must first change what is within you. When you truly grasp this concept, you realize that your external circumstances, whether good or bad, are only temporary reflections of the inner assumptions you have about yourself and the world. And while many people try to change their circumstances by working harder, getting better at certain skills, or seeking help from outside forces, the true power lies in changing your internal state. The universe will always reflect back to you the thoughts and assumptions you entertain. Consider for a moment how you perceive the world. If you have an assumption that life is hard and filled with struggle, that assumption will create situations in which life feels difficult. On the other hand, if you assume that life is abundant, full of opportunity, and that you are deserving of success, the world will reflect that belief back to you. Manifestation begins with the internal shift, the assumption that what you desire is already real. This assumption, held with conviction, has the power to transform your life in ways you cannot yet imagine. The world is not just a passive entity that acts upon you, it is a direct reflection of your internal state. Everything you experience, from your relationships to your financial situation to your health, is shaped by the assumptions you have about yourself and the world. Your thoughts and beliefs are like seeds that you plant in your subconscious mind, and those seeds grow into the experiences you have. When you begin to understand that external conditions do not define you, you realize that you are not bound by what you see around you. You are not defined by your past experiences, by your present circumstances, or by anything that seems to be happening in the external world. You are defined by what you choose to believe about yourself and the world. When you change your internal assumptions, you change the way the world responds to you. This is the secret to true transformation. Let us take, for example, the common experience of wanting to manifest a better financial situation. Many people try to change their financial reality by seeking more money, working harder, or hoping for a stroke of luck. However, if their inner assumption is that money is hard to come by, that they are not worthy of abundance, or that they must struggle to get by, then the world will reflect these beliefs. The key to transforming your financial situation is not in the external actions you take, but in the internal assumption you hold about money. If you assume that money flows freely to you, that it is your natural state to be abundant, and that you are deserving of wealth, the world will reflect that assumption back to you. Similarly, in relationships, many people find themselves stuck in patterns of disappointment and frustration. They may seek out new relationships or try to fix what seems broken, but if their inner assumption is that they are unworthy of love, that relationships are difficult, or that they will always be alone, those assumptions will create the same pattern over and over again. But if you change your inner assumption, if you begin to believe that love flows effortlessly to you, that you are deserving of a fulfilling relationship, and that the right people are drawn to you, you will begin to see the reflection of that belief in the world around you. It is crucial to understand that your thoughts and beliefs are not just idle musings, they are creative forces. The thoughts you think are constantly being impressed upon your subconscious mind, and your subconscious mind does not know the difference between what is real and what is imagined. When you hold an assumption long enough, it becomes your reality. This is why it is so important to examine the assumptions you hold about yourself and your life. If you find yourself constantly thinking that things are not going well, that your circumstances are beyond your control, or that success is out of reach, you are simply reinforcing assumptions that are preventing you from realizing your full potential. Your external reality is nothing more than a reflection of these assumptions. However, the moment you change your internal assumptions, the moment you begin to assume that success is inevitable, that your desires are already fulfilled, and that you are worthy of all the good things that life has to offer, you begin to align yourself with the very forces of creation that bring about those changes. The power of assumption is the power of creation. When you assume the feeling of the wish fulfilled, you are aligning your thoughts, emotions, and actions with the reality you desire. You begin to act as if your desire has already been fulfilled, and this alignment of thought, feeling, and action sends a powerful signal to the universe that you are ready to receive. The universe does not respond to your desire alone. It responds to your assumption, the belief that what you desire is already real. The world is not something that happens to you. It is something that you create with your assumptions. When you change your inner state, the external world must reflect that change. Manifestation begins with the assumption that the world is already as you want it to be. You do not need to wait for external conditions to change. The moment you assume that your desire is already fulfilled, you have already created it. You are not at the mercy of the world around you. The world is at the mercy of your assumptions. Change your assumptions, and the world will change in response. This is the key to true freedom, the freedom to create the life you desire. Not by struggling to change external circumstances, but by changing your internal state. Your assumptions are the keys to your success. And when you master the art of assumption, you master the art of creation. When you begin to understand that manifestation is not something that happens in the future, but is something you bring into being in the present moment, you will see the truth in the statement that the end is where all things begin. The power of creation lies in the assumption of the end result. What does this mean? It means that the secret to manifesting your desires, to realizing the life you want, lies in the ability to live as though it has already been fulfilled. This is not a theoretical concept, it is a practice, a law that governs the creative process of life. By living in the end, you align yourself with the future you desire, and in doing so, you pull it into your present reality. The idea of living in the end is an essential component of understanding how to manifest. We are often told by others, and perhaps even by our own minds, that we must work towards something, that we must wait for it to happen. But this is a misunderstanding of how creation works. Creation happens not in the striving for a future goal, but in the assumption that the goal has already been reached. It is the feeling of the wish fulfilled, the emotional state that comes from living in the end, that draws the manifestation into your life. If you wish to manifest success, wealth, love, health, or anything else, the most powerful thing you can do is not to think about how or when it will happen. The most powerful thing you can do is to live as though it has already happened, to act as if you are already the person who has achieved the very thing you desire. This is the core of manifestation, to embody the feeling of having your wish fulfilled, regardless of what is happening around you. Living in the end means that you do not focus on the obstacles that stand in your way. You do not focus on the things that are not yet present. Instead, you focus entirely on the state of being that you would experience if your desires were already realized. It is this focus, this assumption, that shapes the world around you. By living in the end, you create the space for your desires to manifest. Because you are no longer waiting for them to come to you, you are already living in their reality. When you make the decision to live in the end, you step out of the realm of uncertainty and into the realm of certainty. This shift is subtle but profound. Rather than wondering if your dreams will come true, you begin to act as though they have already come true. You adopt the feeling of someone who is already successful, already abundant, already loved, and already healthy. The moment you adopt this state of being, your external circumstances begin to shift. The world must conform to your assumption, because your assumption is the creative force that shapes your experience. This is not about pretending or putting on a mask. It is not about acting as though you are something you are not. It is about aligning your inner state with the end result you desire. It is about feeling the emotions that come with the fulfillment of your desires, as if they are already true. When you step into that feeling, you become a magnet for the circumstances and experiences that match that feeling. The power is in the feeling, not in the thinking. Consider the idea of a person who desires wealth. If they continually focus on lack, thinking about how they don't have enough money, how hard it is to make ends meet, or how difficult it is to get ahead, they are living in the opposite of the end result. They are living in the state of lack, and that state will continue to be reflected in their reality. But when they begin to focus on the feeling of having abundance, of having all the money they desire, they align themselves with the end result. They begin to feel the emotions of success, security, and freedom that come with having financial abundance. This emotional shift creates a powerful force that begins to draw those circumstances into their lives. Living in the end is about more than just thinking positively. It is about living in the assumption that your desire is already real. It is about moving through the world as if your dream is already in your hands. This is the most powerful act you can make, because it signals to the universe that you are no longer waiting for your desires to manifest, you are already living in their fulfillment. The law of assumption is the law of creation. The end result you desire is already within you, in the form of your assumptions and feelings. The more vividly you can imagine yourself living in the end, the more real it becomes. When you imagine yourself as already having what you desire, you are creating that reality in your mind. And because your mind shapes your experience, that reality begins to take form in the physical world. It's not a matter of waiting for the perfect moment to act. It's a matter of acting as though the moment has already come. When you live in the end, you stop worrying about the how or the when. You trust that the universe will take care of the details. Your job is to live in the feeling of your desire being fulfilled, and the rest will unfold naturally. The world must conform to your assumption, because your assumption is the blueprint from which your reality is created. It is the pattern that the universe follows in bringing your desires to fruition. Living in the end also means that you do not allow doubt or fear to cloud your vision. Doubt is the enemy of manifestation because it undermines the feeling of certainty and the assumption that your desire is already yours. You must be unwavering in your belief that the end result is already yours. This is the key to unlocking your potential to live in the certainty of result, regardless of the external evidence. So remember that manifestation begins with the end. It begins with assuming the feeling of the wish fulfilled and living in that assumption every moment of your life. When you live in the end, you are not waiting for the world to change around you. You are creating the change from within. And once you step into that state of being, the world will reflect back to you everything you have assumed. It will conform to your vision, because your vision is the blueprint for your reality. This is the power of living in the end. It is the power of creation itself. The greatest obstacle you will encounter on your journey toward manifestation is not the external world, nor the people around you. The greatest obstacle is your own doubt. It is easy to let doubt creep in, especially when things don't immediately look the way you want them to. It is easy to think that, because you do not see the results in the physical world right away, that your desire is not coming to fruition. But this could not be further from the truth. The power of belief is the most important aspect of creation. It is the foundation upon which everything you desire can manifest. Belief is not simply about having a positive thought or hoping for the best. It is about holding a conviction so strong that it influences your actions, thoughts, and feelings. Belief is the feeling of certainty that the thing you desire has already been made real in your life. It is the knowing that what you are creating is already done, even if the physical world has not yet caught up to that truth. This belief is the fuel for manifestation. It's not enough to just want something. You must believe it is already yours, that it is already done, and that nothing can stand in the way of its manifestation. Doubt undermines your creative power. When you doubt, you are no longer living in the assumption of the wish fulfilled. Instead, you are focusing on the gap between where you are and where you want to be. The more you focus on the gap, the more it expands. The moment doubt enters your mind, you begin to disempower yourself, and your reality begins to reflect that disempowerment. The key is to become aware of your doubts as they arise and recognize them for what they are: distractions. Doubt is a form of resistance, and resistance, only exist because we are trying to force something into being rather than allowing it to unfold naturally. When you doubt, you are not in alignment with the state of having your desire fulfilled. You are instead in a state of lack, of wanting, of wishing, but never fully believing that what you want is possible. The most powerful act you can take in the face of doubt is to reaffirm your belief. You do not need to convince yourself that the physical world will immediately change. Instead, you must convince yourself that the feeling of having your desire already fulfilled is real. This feeling is what creates the bridge between the physical world and your inner world. The more you can immerse yourself in the feeling of the wish fulfilled, the more quickly the external world will begin to reflect that feeling. One of the most common reasons people struggle with doubt is because they are too focused on the physical evidence. They want to see the change before they believe it is possible. They want proof that what they are assuming is true is actually coming into being. But the law of assumption works in reverse of what the world tells us. You do not need to wait for evidence to confirm your belief. You must believe first, and the evidence will follow. This is where the power of persistence comes into play. Doubt is not something that disappears instantly, especially if it has been ingrained in your subconscious mind for a long time. But just because doubt arises does not mean you should give up. On the contrary, it is a signal that you are moving in the right direction. Doubt will only arise when you are on the verge of a breakthrough, when you are pushing against the limits of your old beliefs and stepping into new territory. When doubt arises, your task is to remind yourself of your belief, to reaffirm that your desire is already fulfilled, and to live as though it is already true. The more you practice this, the more natural it will feel, and the less doubt will have the power to hinder your progress. Over time, you will find that the feeling of certainty becomes second nature, and doubt becomes less and less of a challenge. The process of manifestation is a process of becoming. It is not about forcing things to happen, but about allowing them to unfold. It is about aligning your inner state with the reality you desire and trusting that your belief is enough to bring it into being. When you believe, you begin to see. The law is that what you believe in your heart is reflected in the world around you. Doubt only exists when you are out of alignment with your desires. It is a reflection of fear, a fear that what you want will never come true. But fear is simply a lack of belief. Fear arises when you are focused on what you do not want, rather than on what you do want. The more you focus on the desired end, the less fear and doubt will have any power over you. To conquer doubt is to conquer fear, and to conquer fear is to unlock the full power of your creative abilities. This is why it is crucial to focus on the end result, to live in the assumption that your desire is already fulfilled. When you assume the feeling of the wish fulfilled and hold that assumption with conviction, you are in alignment with the creative forces of the universe. The more you persist in this assumption, the more it becomes real, and the more the physical world begins to shift in response to it. Remember, doubt is only a temporary condition. It will pass the moment you refocus your energy on the assumption that your desire is already fulfilled. The key is to persist, to continue living in the state of fulfillment, regardless of what your physical senses tell you. Belief is the bridge between the unseen world of your desires and the seen world of manifestation. Your belief is the most powerful tool you have, and when you believe in the unseen will be made visible. The law of assumption is unwavering. What you assume to be true is true. So whenever doubt arises, return to your assumption. Live as if your desire is already fulfilled, and trust in the power of your belief to manifest it into being. The moment you truly believe, you will begin to see the world bend and shift to bring your desires into your life. One of the most powerful realizations you can make on your journey to manifestation is that the key to transforming your reality lies not in waiting for things to happen, but in consciously deciding what you will experience. This means that you are not at the mercy of external circumstances. You are not a passive observer waiting for life to unfold. Instead, you are the creator of your own reality, and it is your assumptions and beliefs that determine the experiences you will have. This is the essence of manifestation. You create your reality by consciously choosing the thoughts and beliefs that govern your world. The first step in understanding this is to realize that your thoughts are not just idle musings. They are the seeds of creation. Every thought you think is a powerful force that shapes the world around you. The thoughts you entertain in your mind are not separate from the physical world. They are the very building blocks that shape your experiences. This is why it is essential to be mindful of what you think, because the more attention you give to a thought, the more it will grow and manifest in your life. Many people believe that they must work hard to change their circumstances, that they must strive to make things happen, or that they must manipulate their environment to get what they want. But this is not how creation works. Creation is not about struggle or effort. It is about the conscious decision to live in a certain state of being, to decide what you want to experience, and then to live as though it has already been fulfilled. It is about making a choice and aligning your thoughts, feelings, and actions with that choice. The moment you make that decision, the world begins to align with your new reality. To understand the power of choice, consider the way you perceive yourself. Most people live their lives based on the identity they have created for themselves through their past experiences. They think they are the sum of their past mistakes, their failures, their limitations, or their perceived shortcomings. They believe that their future will be determined by their past, but this is a fallacy. You are not bound by your past. You are not limited by the experiences you have had. You are the creator of your own identity, and you can choose to be anyone you want to be, to live any life you desire. This is the power of decision. When you decide who you want to be, when you decide what kind of life you want to live, you are no longer at the mercy of your past. You become free to create a new reality for yourself. The moment you make a decision, you are stepping into a new state of being, and this new state will reflect in the world around you. It is not about waiting for things to change externally. It is about changing your internal state and seeing the world reflect that change. The key to this process is to recognize that every experience you have is the result of the assumptions you hold about yourself and the world. These assumptions are the foundation upon which your reality is built. If you believe that you are unlucky, that success is for others and not for you, or that your desires are impossible to achieve, then those assumptions will shape your experience. The world will reflect back to you the limitations you have placed upon yourself. However, when you decide to choose a different assumption, when you decide to assume that success is inevitable, that you are deserving of everything you desire, and that all things are possible, the world will reflect that new assumption. This is where the power of choice becomes truly transformative. When you recognize that you are the creator of your reality, you understand that you have the ability to choose your beliefs and assumptions. You can choose to believe that the universe is abundant, that you are worthy of love, success, and prosperity, and that your desires are already on their way to you. When you make these choices, when you choose to believe in the reality you desire, you begin to shift the energy around you. Your thoughts and feelings begin to align with your new beliefs, and this alignment is what draws your desires into your life. The choice to create a new reality is not a one-time event. It is an ongoing process, a daily decision to choose the thoughts, beliefs, and actions that will shape your life. It requires persistence and dedication. But when you commit to this process, when you make the conscious decision to choose your beliefs rather than allowing them to be shaped by external circumstances, you begin to experience the power of manifestation in your life. One of the most profound truths in this process is that everything begins with a decision. If you desire wealth, health, love, or success, the first step is to decide that these things are already yours. The moment you make this decision, you are stepping into the reality where those desires already exist. The more you live in the assumption that your desires are already fulfilled, the more the universe aligns with that assumption. Your actions, thoughts, and feelings all begin to reflect this new state of being, and the world around you shifts to match your internal reality. To make this process work, you must learn to trust in your power to create. You must trust that your decisions are the seeds that will grow into the reality you desire. Trust that the universe will respond to your internal state, that your assumptions will shape your experience, and that you have the power to create anything you choose. This is the ultimate freedom, the freedom to decide who you are, what you want, and how your life will unfold. No longer do you have to wait for the world to change. You can decide today to create a new reality. The world is not something that happens to you. It is something that you shape with your decisions, beliefs, and assumptions. The power is in your hands. When you choose to embrace this power, when you make the conscious decision to live in the state of fulfillment, to live as though your desires have already been realized, you become a master of your own reality. You no longer wait for circumstances to change. You no longer allow the external world to dictate your experience. Instead, you create the world around you by the choices you make, by the beliefs you hold, and the assumptions you live by. This is the true power of creation. Your reality is not determined by the outside world. It is determined by the choices you make in your own mind. Every day presents a new opportunity to make a choice. Choose wisely and choose in alignment with the life you desire. Make the decision to live as though your desires are already fulfilled, and watch as the world around you shifts to reflect that new reality. When you begin to understand the true nature of your own power, you realize that your external reality is not something that happens to you. It is something that you create. The world around you is a reflection of your inner state, a mirror that reflects back the assumptions, beliefs, and feelings you hold within. This is not some abstract concept. This is the law of creation in action. Every thought, every feeling, every assumption you have is shaping your reality, often in ways you do not realize. The fundamental truth you must understand is that the outer world is a direct expression of the inner world. If you wish to change your external circumstances, you must first change the way you think and feel about yourself and the world. This is the key to transforming your reality. It is not about changing what is happening around you. It is about changing how you perceive it and how you respond to it. Your perception is the lens through which you experience the world. And when you change that lens, the world must shift to match it. To understand how this works, consider that everything you experience in life is filtered through your beliefs. If you believe that life is difficult, that success is hard to come by, or that people are reliable, these beliefs will shape your experiences. Your thoughts and feelings will constantly reinforce these assumptions, and the world around you will reflect back to you exactly what you expect to see. The world is a mirror, and what you see in it is a reflection of what you believe to be true. This is why it is so important to examine your beliefs and assumptions about yourself and your life. If you are not happy with the way things are going, it is not because life is unfair or because you are unlucky. It is because your inner state is out of alignment with the reality you wish to experience. You must change the way you think, feel, and believe about your life if you want to see a different result. One of the most transformative things you can do is to begin to question the beliefs you have been holding about yourself and the world. Ask yourself, what do I believe to be true? What assumptions am I making about myself, about life, and about my potential? Often you will find that the beliefs you hold are limiting, based on old patterns, past experiences, and the opinions of others. These beliefs are not the truth of who you are. They are simply the result of conditioning. And because you have accepted them as true, they have become the lens through which you experience the world. Now, the good news is that these beliefs can be changed. You have the power to rewrite the story of your life by changing the beliefs you hold. The moment you decide that you are worthy of success, that you are capable of achieving your desires, and that life is abundant and full of opportunity, the world around you begins to shift. Your thoughts and feelings will naturally begin to align with this new belief, and as a result, the people, circumstances, and events in your life will begin to reflect this new truth. This is the power of perception. The way you perceive the world is not fixed. It is not a static reality. Your perception is constantly changing, constantly evolving, and it is up to you to choose how you will perceive the world. You can choose to see the world as a place of abundance, where everything you need is already available to you. Or you can choose to see the world as a place of lack, where opportunities are few and far between. The choice is yours. One of the most important things to understand is that you are not at the mercy of external circumstances. Your circumstances are not what determine your reality. It is your perception of them that creates your experience. Life may present challenges, but those challenges are not there to hold you back. They are there to help you grow, to show you where your beliefs are out of alignment with your desires, and to give you the opportunity to shift your perception and rise above them. When you change your perception, you change the meaning you give to events in your life. For example, if you experience a setback or a failure, you can choose to see it as evidence that you are not good enough, that success is impossible, and that you should give up. Or you can choose to see it as a valuable lesson, a step on your journey, and an opportunity to strengthen your belief in your ability to overcome challenges. The meaning you assign to events is what determines your emotional response, and your emotional response is what shapes your reality. This is why it is so important to cultivate a positive and empowered perception of yourself and the world. When you believe that you are capable, worthy, and deserving of success, your perception will naturally reflect that belief. You will see opportunities where others see obstacles. You will see abundance where others see scarcity. You will see love and connection where others see separation. Your perception will shape your experience, and as you continue to shift your perception, you will continue to shape a reality that aligns with your desires. The key to mastering this process is awareness. Become aware of your thoughts and beliefs. Pay attention to the stories you are telling yourself about your life, your capabilities, and your potential. Are they empowering or limiting? Are they supporting the reality you want to create, or are they holding you back? When you notice limiting beliefs or negative assumptions, gently replace them with empowering ones. Choose to see the world through the lens of possibility, abundance, and love. This is not about pretending that everything is perfect or denying the challenges you may face. It is about choosing to see those challenges as opportunities for growth and transformation. It is about shifting your perception so that you can respond to life's challenges with confidence, clarity, and a sense of power. As you continue to shift your perception and change your beliefs, you will notice that the world around you begins to change as well. People, circumstances, and events will begin to align with your new perception, and you will start to see the results of your inner transformation reflected in your external world. This is the power of perception. When you change the way you see the world must change to reflect that new perspective. Remember, the outer world is a reflection of your inner state. When you shift your perception and choose to see the world through a lens of possibility and empowerment, you will begin to experience a reality that reflects that shift. Your beliefs shape your experience, and when you change your beliefs, you change your life. The world around you is a mirror, and the reflection you see is the result of the way you choose to perceive it. In the journey of life, the most profound shift you can make is not to wait for external circumstances to change, but to realize that the power to transform your reality lies within you, in the control of your own inner state. This shift in understanding is revolutionary, because it places the responsibility for your life and your experiences firmly in your hands. The power to manifest, to create, and to shape your reality exists within you, and it is through your inner assumption, your mental state, that you bring the desires of your heart into tangible reality. Many people walk through life believing that they are at the mercy of the world, of people, and of circumstances. They think that things need to change for them to feel better, to have more, to become successful, or to live in abundance. But this line of thinking perpetuates the very belief that you are a passive participant in your life, and that is far from the truth. You are not the victim of life's events. You are the creator of them. The external world is not dictating your experiences. Rather, your inner assumptions, beliefs, and thoughts are creating the world around you. This concept is the key to understanding how manifestation truly works. What you assume to be true about your life, about yourself, and about the world will become your reality. Your assumptions are not just passive thoughts. They are active creators of the conditions you experience. When you assume that things are not going to work out, or that you are unlucky, or that your dreams are impossible, you are creating those conditions in your life. These assumptions become the lens through which you see the world, and as you see the world, you act accordingly, often unconsciously reinforcing your assumptions with each passing moment. However, when you choose to shift those assumptions, when you decide to assume that things will work out, that you are worthy of success, that abundance is your birthright, you create a completely different reality. Your assumptions, when held consistently, are like a magnetic force that draws the conditions, people, and experiences into your life that match those beliefs. The external world must conform to the assumptions you hold true. The key here is that your assumptions are not subject to the whims of external reality. You do not need to wait for external evidence before you believe that your desires are possible. On the contrary, you must believe first, and only then will the evidence in the external world begin to confirm what you already know to be true. If you wait for physical evidence before believing, you will be waiting forever. The external world only reflects the assumptions that you have already chosen to hold internally. So the moment you decide to assume the feeling of having your desire already fulfilled, the external world will start to shift to align with that assumption. One of the most powerful ways to apply this principle in your life is through the practice of living in the assumption of the wish fulfilled. This means you do not wait for your circumstances to change before you begin to feel the way you would feel if your desires were already manifested. Instead, you step into the feeling of your wish fulfilled right now, regardless of the external conditions. You live as if the thing you desire has already happened, and you allow that feeling to permeate your every thought and action. For example, if you are seeking financial abundance, do not wait for the money to show up before you begin to feel abundant. Start feeling abundant right now. Act as if the wealth you desire is already yours. Feel the gratitude, the joy, and the peace that would come from already having what you want. Immerse yourself in the emotional experience of abundance. The more you do this, the more you align yourself with the frequency of abundance, and in doing so, you begin to draw it into your life. Likewise, if you desire success in your career, live as though you have already achieved your goals. Feel the pride, the excitement, the fulfillment that would come from your success. Do not wait for the success to appear before you allow yourself to feel it. When you live in the assumption of success, success begins to follow you. It is not the external evidence that shapes your belief. It is your belief that shapes the external evidence. One of the greatest misconceptions is that you must work hard, struggle, and toil to achieve your desires. This belief is rooted in the assumption that the external world is a hostile place, and that success and abundance are only for the fortunate few. But this is not true. When you live in the assumption of the wish fulfilled, things begin to flow effortlessly toward you. It is not about forcing your desires into being or manipulating the world around you. It is about aligning yourself with the natural flow of the universe by choosing the right assumptions and living in harmony with them. This process requires faith, but it is not faith in something external. It is faith in yourself, in the power of your own mind, and in the unshakable truth that what you assume to be true must manifest in your life. When you believe, truly believe, that the outcome you desire is already yours, there is no force in the universe that can prevent it from becoming a reality. Many people struggle with this concept because they are conditioned to believe that they must see it to believe it. This belief stems from the idea that the external world is the source of their reality. However, the truth is that the external world is a reflection of your inner world. When you change the assumptions you hold, the world around you must change to reflect them. You do not need to struggle to make your desires happen. What you need is to live in the assumption that they are already true. This state of mind shifts everything. When you live in this way, your thoughts, feelings, and actions are in alignment with your desires. You become a magnet for the people, opportunities, and circumstances that match the new assumptions you are holding. Living in the assumption of the wish fulfilled is not about denial or pretending that nothing in your life needs to change. It is about claiming the reality you desire, choosing to live in that reality now, and allowing the external world to catch up. It is about trusting in the power of your assumptions and understanding that they are the force that shapes your world. The secret to manifestation lies in this: you are not creating something new in the world. You are simply revealing what is already yours by living in the assumption that it is so. The world is already aligned with your desires. You only need to assume the feeling of the wish fulfilled, and the universe will respond by making your desires a reality. The world will reflect back to you the assumptions you hold, and as your assumptions change, so too will your reality. When you begin to understand that your thoughts, feelings, and beliefs are the driving forces behind your reality, you realize that everything you experience in life is a direct result of what you have assumed to be true about yourself and the world. This realization is both liberating and empowering, for it means that you have the ability to change any part of your life by changing your assumptions and beliefs. However, there is a critical key to this process that many people overlook: the necessity of persistence in living from the assumption of the wish fulfilled. This principle is not about briefly entertaining a new belief and expecting immediate results. It is about maintaining the assumption of your desire, no matter what the external world may reflect back to you. In other words, you must be unwavering in your belief that your desire is already a reality. This persistence is not a passive waiting game. It is an active, daily commitment to live in alignment with the assumption that your desire is already fulfilled. The key to manifestation lies not in occasional bursts of hope or occasional moments of believing, but in the consistent and persistent assumption that your desire is already fulfilled. It is easy to become discouraged when the evidence of your desire does not immediately show up in the physical world. Most people tend to let go of their assumption or belief when they do not see instant results. But this is where many miss the mark. You must recognize that the external world is simply reflecting your inner state, and it takes time for that reflection to shift. Persistence in your assumption ensures that the reflection eventually conforms to the inner state you are holding. This process is often compared to planting seeds in the ground. When you plant a seed, you do not dig it up every day to see if it is growing. You trust that, in time, it will grow. You may not see the roots forming beneath the surface, but you know that the seed is working its way toward the surface, toward its eventual manifestation as a plant. Similarly, when you persist in your assumption that your desire is already fulfilled, you are planting a seed of creation, and even though you may not see immediate evidence, you can trust that your assumption is working in the background, shifting the circumstances to bring about your desire. The challenge comes when people give up too soon. The moment they stop persisting in their assumption, they disrupt the process. If you continually change your mind, or assume that the desire is not coming because you do not see results right away, you are essentially uprooting the seed before it has a chance to grow. It is crucial to understand that persistence is the key to maintaining the momentum of creation. Your unwavering belief in the assumption of your desire's fulfillment sends a powerful signal to the universe, which then aligns circumstances and events to match that assumption. One of the reasons why persistence is so important is that it helps to create a strong mental image of your desire already being fulfilled. The more you persist in living from the assumption of your wish fulfilled, the more real it becomes to you, and the more it shapes your thoughts, feelings, and actions. Your persistence in assuming that your desire is already realized builds momentum, and this momentum carries you closer to the physical manifestation of your desire. Furthermore, persistence allows you to build a mental attitude that is unwavering, no matter what external circumstances may present. It teaches you to remain centered in your assumption, to continue living from the end result, and to refuse to be swayed by the appearance of things. The outer world is constantly shifting and changing, but the persistence of your assumption keeps you aligned with your inner truth. This is where many people go wrong. They allow their external circumstances to dictate their internal state, and when things do not immediately go according to plan, they abandon their assumptions. But this is not how manifestation works. The world does not change to fit your desires in an instant. It changes slowly, in accordance with your continued assumption that it is already the way you want it to be. Persistence also enables you to overcome doubt and fear, which are the main obstacles to manifestation. Doubt can arise when you do not see immediate results, but it is important to recognize that doubt comes from the belief that your reality is separate from your thoughts and feelings. If you believe that the world must show you proof before you can believe in your desires, you are disconnecting yourself from the creative power that lies within. Persistence in living from the assumption of the wish fulfilled means that you do not require external evidence to support your belief. You simply trust in the power of your assumption and continue to live as though your desire is already true. This is where true mastery comes in. The ability to persist in your assumption, regardless of the external evidence, is a mark of a master creator. Mastery is not about working harder or trying to control the outer world. It is about working with your inner world, maintaining your assumption, and allowing the external world to conform to your inner state. When you master this process, you become a conscious creator, able to manifest your desires with ease and grace. It is important to remember that persistence does not mean forcing things to happen or trying to control every detail. It means simply holding the assumption that your desire is already fulfilled and allowing the universe to arrange the details. You are not responsible for how your desire will manifest or when it will manifest. Your role is to persist in the assumption, to maintain your belief, and to live as though your desire is already true. One of the most beautiful aspects of this process is that persistence in your assumption does not require effort. It requires faith, trust, and patience. It is not a struggle. The more you persist, the more you relax into the feeling of your wish already fulfilled. The more natural it becomes to live in alignment with your desire, the more effortless it is to continue holding that assumption. Your persistence is what sets the stage for the world to respond. When you consistently live from the assumption that your desire is already fulfilled, you are not only aligning yourself with your desire, but you are also sending out a clear message to the universe. This message is powerful because it tells the universe that you trust in your creative power, that you trust in the process of manifestation, and that you are ready to receive. Therefore, persistence is not a mere act of willpower. It is an act of trust. It is trusting that as you continue to live in the assumption of your fulfilled desire, the world will respond. Your persistence is the seed of creation, and the world must reflect back to you the assumption you hold. When you understand this, you realize that persistence is the key to unlocking the manifestation of your desires. As we come to the close of this journey into understanding the power of assumption, it becomes clear that the life you desire is not a distant dream or a far-off goal, but a reality that is within your grasp, waiting to be revealed. You are the creator of your experiences, and the key to unlocking the life you wish to live is within the power of your thoughts, your beliefs, and your assumptions. The external world, with all its appearances, is not the cause of your experiences. It is the reflection of your inner state. Every shift you make within your mind reverberates outward and shapes the world around you. As you persist in living from the assumption of the wish fulfilled, you are aligning yourself with the natural flow of creation. When you live from this assumption with unwavering belief and consistency, the external world must reflect that assumption, and your desires will materialize. The process is not about waiting for the world to change first, but about changing within, knowing that everything outside of you will follow suit. To manifest your desires, you must trust the process. Trust that the seeds you plant in your mind through your assumptions will eventually blossom into reality. It is not about striving, working harder, or struggling to make things happen. It is about trusting the power within you and allowing it to unfold naturally. As you continue to hold fast to the assumption of your desire already fulfilled, the universe will respond, and you will begin to witness the beauty of creation at work in your life. Remember, the greatest power you have is the power to change your perception, to shift your assumptions, and to live from the feeling of your already being realized. Persistence, faith, and the unwavering assumption of your wish fulfilled are the keys that unlock the door to the life you have always desired. So embrace the truth that you are the creator of your reality. Choose to assume the feeling of your desires already fulfilled, and watch as the world around you changes to reflect the new beliefs you hold. Your power is infinite, and the life you seek is already yours, waiting to be revealed.